Good morning, everyone. I'm Colleen Ferrari. I'm the owner and founder of Small Business USA. So happy to be here today. As you can see, I have like an empty seat. Is it this way? On the side of me. And that will soon be Scott Gumbar, who is, as I was saying, my resident expert on social media. And he's who we use to manage a lot of our platforms for the businesses that I run. So today's topic is all over the place. I welcome anybody who wants to jump in and talk about it to do that. But our topic is all over the place. And because, one thing, social media and marketing is always changing, and we have to change with it. But I also get a lot of questions on a regular basis from members and partners. Oh, thanks. Great. Thanks for the text. Appreciate it. I get members and partners from Small Business USA that are always, I got derailed, sorry, that are always asking questions about, what about this? And can you do a blab on that? Oh, is that my friend Peter? Yay. How are you, Peter Suska? So happy to have you. Hopefully you have that cool backdrop. I don't know if you saw last week's video, but I was getting some feedback that I'm a little too busy back here. Here you come. But, one of the reason that we were talking about membership communities today is because I get that question a lot, because Small Business USA and several of my organizations are membership communities. So, it's something that I'm pretty proficient with and I'm always looking at and studying. But, keep in mind, too, that I am a generalist. So I leverage my social media team to do a lot of that. And that's why we're going to have Scott jump on and talk about that. Peter, I don't know, but I don't have a visual on you. So still waiting for that. I don't know if you want to refresh. Maybe that sometimes helps. So can you hear me, Peter?
Yes.
Oh, good. How are you?
Good. I'm great. Thank you. I'm probably not going to have a visual. I'm in a place where I probably can't do that. So.
Oh, how are you? I'm so happy to have you join us today. So
I'm good. Thank you.
Peter, introduce yourself, because I think everybody needs to know you if they don't know you from past blabs.
I founded a small business that basically assists corporations, companies at all sizes in improving their safety, but using safety as an indicator of organizational health and going forward to improve the organization as a whole. So using those techniques as organizational improvement tools.
Awesome. So are you a Blab? You're like a regular on Blab now, Peter?
I wouldn't say that.
Like the rest of us?
Yeah.
It's funny. I was looking at some of my questions that I wanted to bring up today. And one of the questions is, how do you find time to blab? And I guess the question is, how do you find time to watch? I don't know. It's continuous education, right, at its finest.
Well, I'm still at the Etch-a-Sketch level here, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, hey, Peter, I'll ask you my first question from a member. Well, I actually get this question often, so I think, and then maybe we can both weigh in on it. I think it would be kind of fun. So the question is, can you talk about time management on your next blab? I don't know how you run all these businesses, and just kind of to keep anybody on the call in the loop. Small Business USA started several years ago, but it has just grown, and we have just so many tentacles that have grown from that. So we have Small Business USA. We have an elite advisor division that we are just renaming Insight CEO. Generating Winners, Networking Golf, which will launch soon. I had a very early morning video conference on that, and that is so exciting. I cannot wait to get that off and running, because we have so many people signed up already. And then I do a Steel Heels podcast and some private coaching. So the question is, how do you find time to be wife, mom, daughter, friend, and business person? But I think we all, no matter what you have in your world, it's all figuring out how to balance it, right? So I'd love to talk about that. And Peter, if you have any insight, because I think, you and I, when we talked about safety as being one of those opportunities that comes because of a lack of time management skills. People are rushing and getting themselves in trouble. So what advice do you have for our members and listeners on time management?
Well, first of all, I don't know how you do it. You're probably juggling a heck of a lot more than I am. Um, but I think, I hate to make it too methodical here, but I think it's important that, you write things down. Um, you keep something in front of you that really kind of gives you the week in advance, the day, the understanding what you need to focus on. Um, and making reasonable commitments to people. I think that's another thing. In a lot of organizations I've been in, I've had to spend a lot of time with people just making sure they're making reasonable commitments. Because if you say yes to everybody, you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to hurt, um, your ability to make everybody happy. You can't overextend yourself, and you gotta find that balance. Everybody's got to find that balance.
You said something that I'm going to write down, and it's keep write down what you want to get accomplished and keep it in front of you, because it's really easy to get derailed and it's really easy to lose focus, right? So I love that. To stay focused is one of the hardest things that we do every day. I can be working on Small Business USA and all of a sudden have this flash of brilliance for generating winners, and all of a sudden I'm like off to the races, and now I have to kind of try to regroup myself 20 minutes later and say, okay, where was I? And I've lost an incredible amount of time.
Yeah.
I love that. My message is the same. One thing I will tell you, I had this amazing admin, and I really believe you have to pay people what they deserve to be paid, and you protect those people who make your life so much easier. And I paid her so much in my last company that I can't afford yet to bring her on board with me. It's a huge miss, because she was she was the most amazing person for me, teaching me time management. Hey, Scott.
Hold on.
And one of the things that she really taught me was step outside of the box, and there's not this one size fits all strategy to managing your time. And so I just wrote down a couple things that I do that hopefully will help everyone and answer that question. And the first is balance. I really believe that you have to know what's important to you, because if you don't know what's important to you, it's really easy to kind of get derailed and off track. And so, I'll give you a great example. This last month, my mom spent about 3 weeks of the last month in the hospital, and we almost lost her. I mean, this woman has 19 lives. It's amazing that she's alive, but a lot of that time was in ICU. And you have a choice. You need to choose at that moment what's most important for you. And then you also have to know that sometimes when you're really busy, you have to be able to ask for forgiveness, and you have to know that some things aren't going to always go as planned, but you also can't do it all yourself. So you just have to prioritize what's right and make sure that you communicate really well with everyone else. And so you can find that balance. But I think most people go in and they don't take the time to find their balance and figure out what's important to them before they go after what they're going after. And it's really easy to lose sight of husbands and parents and kids and sometimes even work and what you're going after. Even, I think about with our small business owners, and Scott, you can probably, you have amazing balance. I don't know how you do it either, but finding those blocks of time for me are really important to say, okay, here's 2 hours. I'm going to set the alarm on my phone, because in 2 hours, I'm going to stop working on the marketing end, and I'm going to go dig into those emails and answer and respond to emails. And that's what I'm going to do at this time frame. And I think an important block is educating yourself, right? Teaching and contributing to making yourself smarter. When is that block of time? And being a little bit, you have to be flexible, but you also have to be non-negotiable. If you're going to balance more than one thing and be really successful at it, you have to have a strategy going in, and you have to, and I think somebody once said to me that the best way to manage time is in 5-minute increments, because if you measure what you can actually complete in 5 minutes, it's incredible. And then I also think you have to know, and Scott calls me out on this all the time, identify what you can give away. And all of a sudden I'll be like digging into a website. It's like, why are you doing this? You suck at this. You're not good at websites, and you leave this to the experts and stop messing things up on me. And we'll be good. And I think you have to know what you're good at, and you have to know what you can give away. And you have to be, no matter how much you love to do stuff, sometimes you have to be, deliberate enough to give some of that stuff away. But I will tell you that outside of the box thinking is my admin has taught me you have to, exercise has to be combined with family. If I go to the gym, and not for everybody, but for me, I am an extrovert, so I love to have people around. So, that I don't need an hour and a half to go work out and be quiet. I love to have people around. I talk on the treadmill. So why not talk to my daughter or talk to my girlfriend or, have a dance party while we're putting the laundry away, whatever it is. But I think you have to find that balance. Scott Gumbar, welcome.
Thank you.
I got on a little rant here answering questions from members. So
I would like to say I never said you suck at websites.
I know you didn't.
I think
you always tell me, this is your line. Why are you doing this? And stop breaking things on me.
Well, yes, that's true.
Do you know Peter Suska, Scott?
I have seen Peter on a previous blab of yours.
Awesome.
But he's invisible today.
He is invisible.
Yeah, I am. I'm running undercover today.
Hey, so you want to talk about, where should we start? Scott, you want to talk about Instagram? Because that's on everybody's radar today.
Yeah. So Instagram today, supposedly today.
First of all, introduce yourself, because I did mention your name about 52 times today, but introduce yourself anyway.
So I am Scott Gumbar. Shocker there. And what I do is digital marketing. Is that it just means I help businesses find qualified clients, highly qualified clients using the internet. So I drive traffic to usually your website and do that through organic advertising and social media primarily. ScottGumbar.com is my website, as you can see there in the lower part of my screen. And but I think that doesn't come through on the recording. But anyway, that's it. That's what I do.
All right. So Instagram, the big old conversation.
Yeah. So Instagram today.
There's a big petition out right now.
Oh, is there a petition already?
I think they got what was it? I was reading it this morning. Oh, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they got 1.5 million people signing this petition. No. 300,000 small business owners have signed the petition, petitioning Instagram to allow small business owners to, somebody correct me if I've got my details mixed up a little bit, but to allowing small business owners to advertise for free on Instagram still.
Oh, I did not hear about that, but that's interesting. That's interesting. So today, what they're supposed to do today is I'm looking at it right now. It doesn't look like it's happened yet. They're supposed to introduce an algorithm, and if you know Instagram, if you don't know, Instagram is owned by Facebook, and Facebook's algorithm had a lot of people up in arms a few years back, and still even today has people up in arms because if you have a business page on Facebook and you had it before their algorithm, everybody who was following you on Facebook saw whatever you posted. Today, you're lucky if you get somewhere between 10 and 20% of the people that follow you to see it without spending money on ads, which is ultimately what Facebook wants. Well, Instagram is supposed to introduce an algorithm today for the same reason, and most people would believe that the algorithm is going to pretty much run the same way that Facebook's algorithm does. Although Instagram is still considered a separate company, Instagram says no, that's not true. As of right now, as I'm looking at it, the timeline on Instagram and the way it's been since they started it's chronological. So if I posted just now, mine would be at the top of anybody who's stream who's following me. That's supposed to change today.
So I just want to, Instagram posted a public message on the 28th at 1:48, so 2:00 yesterday, that said, "We're listening and we assure you nothing is changing with your feed right now. We promise to let you know when changes roll out broadly." So it sounds like there's a lot of testing and rumors, and people are already getting crazy with push the follow button or turn notification on.
There's a lot of that. Now, here's my feeling on that. If you are encouraging people to follow you now at this point to turn notifications on, then it means your content sucks. Let's just say it point blank. That means your content sucks, because that you, in the back of your mind, you know that you're going to become irrelevant on Instagram because your content sucks. Now, not everybody on Instagram is on to market, so there's different purposes. But if you're a marketer or someone in business and you're telling us, "Hey, turn on notifications, otherwise you'll never see my posts," then you're telling us right there that what you're posting is irrelevant.
Looking at this from the business end, though, from Instagram's perspective, this is a little bit dangerous because although, what it means for the user, right? So they're saying, so friends and family, I'm going to see their post first, right? That's what the rumor is. So, but I would love that as a consumer. I would love that as a small business owner. It kind of throws a wrench in my marketing strategy for sure, right?
Right.
So, but, Instagram as a business, they have to listen to the small business and they have to listen to the people who are going to actually drive revenue for them. And unfortunately, I don't see how the consumers are driving revenue unless they start charging for Instagram.
Well, that's exactly it. And that's what I tell people all the time. There's this startup social media. I don't know if I'd call it a startup. It's been around for a few years now. It's called Ello. And Ello says they will not do any advertising. There will be, nothing like what Facebook does as far as marketing goes. But how do you survive if you're not bringing in revenue?
I don't know.
How does a large platform like that's going to have programmers, it's going to have to have customer service support, it's going to have all of these different things. How does it survive without bringing in revenue? So I don't believe that for a second. But that's what they say. And so I saw what they were going to factor into their algorithm on Instagram, but
well, let me ask you this, and anybody on here too, like if you're listening or texting or whatever, would you pay $1 or would you pay $1 a month to have a site where there's no advertising? Like, look at what was the one that can't remember the name of the company that they paid $1 a year and then Facebook bought them. It was what is that called? I can't remember. It was like 2 years ago. They bought them, but they bought them for $1 billion, right? But I'm like, the idea
are you talking about WhatsApp?
Yeah, WhatsApp, right? Would you pay? $1 a month, let's say, for the idea that you're never going to be advertised, that it's going to be friends, family, true followers. How worth it is it to the consumer?
I don't know. I think to a degree, we like to be advertised too, as long as that advertising, that marketing is relevant to what we want. And that's the key to a business's success. You don't want to advertise to you don't want to market to just everybody, because not everybody wants what you're offering.
Right.
I think as a society, we're so used to being advertised to. We've been advertised to for decades now on TV and on radio. And, we either tune it out or we go, oh, that's cool, let me check that out. So I don't really think people mind. I know there's people that complain, but I think in general, as a whole, I don't think people mind seeing the occasional marketing or advertising message in their feed on Facebook or, on the top of Google search results or whatever.
I think you get numb to it. Like I shared a study. It was entertaining to me because it was Deloitte. It was like big companies like Deloitte doing these studies. And they said the average consumer gets anywhere between 700 and 3,000 promotional impressions every single day. Could you narrow it down a little bit, but still minimally 700 promotional impressions a day? I think we're numb to it, right?
I would agree to a point. Yes. I think, you have to, I think in today's, and by the way, I'm not the only one. Google actually told us this 2 weeks ago at an event I went to at their Cambridge campus. And you have to create ads that stand out at this point, because you're right. People get numb. I see sponsored updates in my Facebook feed all the time.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, I just keep scrolling. but occasionally one catches me and says, all right, I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's interesting because this whole membership economy thing, and we'll get into that later, but the whole membership economy, one of the pieces of advice that was given to me was that don't pay for any marketing until you know your marketing is effective. So you need to test it. You need to make sure it attracts people. You need to get it out there and test it before you pay for anything. And too many people just go right, and I'm guilty. You go right into that Facebook dark marketing with this post that you think is going to change the world and nothing happens. And you're like, oh, I guess I was wrong because it spoke to me. It didn't speak to the masses. And I already know too much and am too close to the situation. But
it's funny you said dark marketing, and I just think, that type of marketing on Facebook has been around for a few years now, probably, right? But they make it sound so sexy by saying dark marketing. Now everybody's like, oh, I have to do that. It's like growth hacking, because the word hacking is there. Now it's I have to use growth hacking because the word hacking is it just sounds sexy.
Admit it. Your growth success. What is the name of your growth success radio?
Growth success radio, right?
But it used to be hacking.
Originally I was going to call it growth hacking radio, but the reason I changed it is because growth hacking is a very specific type of marketing, and I didn't want to just focus on that.
So, Peter, do you use Instagram at all? Do you pay attention to any of this?
No, I don't. I'm on here because I'm still in the old-fashioned school of human interface. I do grow a lot of business from my customers who personally endorse and advertise me, if you will. But I'm always looking for other avenues.
So I heard just this weekend, I heard this amazing technology is out there that if you have a phone number, they can track you within 1 millimeter of your location. That's all they need now. You don't have to give anybody access. It doesn't matter if it's an iPhone or an Android or whatever. That phone number they can track down to the millimeter. And if you happen to be, let's say next to a Coach wallet that has an RFID built into it, or a bottle of Tide with an RFID, they can take that phone and recognize that you're, whatever, or drink. Let's say you're drinking this fantastic bottle of wine. They can send you a message and advertising that says, hey, this great cheese would go perfectly with that wine right now. I mean, it's so amazing, the technology that we have out there. And, I was trying to talk to my daughter about, privacy and this whole Apple thing. And like, when you hear that, I mean, imagine you're sitting there with your wife or husband and drinking a bottle of wine and your phone lights up and it's an advertisement for the cheese that would perfectly accompany that wine. How would you feel? Where we're going in this space
we're definitely heading in that direction. I understand that people think it's scary, but at the same time, are you changing your habits? So if I hear the example, this is the example I hear all the time. I go on Amazon, I look at something, and I go back to Facebook, and there it is in my feed. Okay, it's a simple piece of code that Amazon added to their website, and then they're paying Facebook to show it in your feed. But if you don't want, there are ways to block that type of behavior if you don't want it to be tracked. So
how do you do that? They're just using a simple phone number. They don't even know what phone you have. I mean, that to me is just so scary.
Yeah, that I'm not too sure about. Maybe the FBI knows something about that. They finally.
I'm so glad the FBI finally hacked this stupid phone.
Yeah, I was going to say they finally hacked that phone. So.
Oh my God. Now, if they could only stop terrorism, like the whole Egyptian airliner this morning and the park in Pakistan, and oh my God, it's such a horrible situation.
The airliner wasn't actually terrorism. They're saying it was just an upset husband, maybe.
Oh, really? I thought he asked for Egyptian prisoners to be freed.
I don't know. Just what I heard on the radio, that it wasn't a terrorist.
He must have been really upset.
I know a few wives and husbands that could get that upset at that. Would never happen in my world. That's funny. All right, let's talk about Snapchat. Snapchat is on everybody's minds. I'm not a Snapchatter, but my daughter certainly is. 71% of college students are on Snapchat. They're the ones that are spending money and about to spend a lot more money. What about Snapchat, Scott?
So Snapchat. So for those that don't know, Snapchat is also a photo / mini videos sharing platform that works on mobile. With the idea that anything you share is, if you share it with an individual or individuals, it's gone after they view it. If you share it to your stream, then it's gone after 24 hours. That has been proven not to be true, but it is actually, I just saw a stat the other day. It's actually more popular than all social media platforms, with the exception of Facebook and I think Pinterest.
Really?
Yeah,
Pinterest bigger than Snapchat still?
I think it was Pinterest. I could be wrong. Pinterest was the fastest growing platform up until recently.
Really?
Snapchat has definitely taken everybody by storm, and it's a large part due to some of their promoters, I guess you could say, like Gary Vaynerchuk and DJ Khaled, who have really just kind of jumped on Snapchat and said everybody needs to be here. It's only mobile. You can't use it on your computer. They don't really allow third-party apps to connect. Most social media platforms allow third-party apps to connect to them. Snapchat really doesn't. There is one on Windows Mobile that they allow for now. What else can I tell you? It is blowing up. It is growing very rapidly and getting older. And when I say getting older, what I mean is, up until recently, and it probably still is the case, most of the people on Snapchat were millennials. But that is now changing the same way Instagram changed. So Instagram used to be the same way, and it's now gotten a lot older. So Snapchat is heading in that direction. There are lots of marketers on Snapchat now trying to figure out how are we going to use this to market businesses. And businesses are paying huge amounts of money to advertise on Snapchat.
It's been pretty interesting. You saw you and I talking about the Wiz Khalifa story yesterday?
Yes.
I mean, so he leveraged Groupon to get 1,000 followers in 2 minutes, which just blows my mind. But I've been kind of looking and studying. I'm a master or a jack of, what is that?
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, that's exactly what I am. So I learn enough to be dangerous so people think I know what I'm talking about. So I'll tell you a little bit and you can fill in the gaps for listeners. But I think it's fascinating. I was looking at it. Everyone that I've really interviewed about Snapchat and talked to, marketers that I've talked to about Snapchat, there's two key methods to really get engagement on Snapchat. One is to tell a story. So each picture or video that you send out should be kind of something entertaining to tell a story that people can't wait to see the next function or the next piece of it, either if it's like a soap opera or it's just like just a little picture that tells a story. And then the other thing is promotional. So, a coupon or giving something free or whatever that is. So, so from a marketing perspective, are there any other ways besides those two to go after really engaging that client, that customer?
I lost you for a second there. Any other ways to market besides those two? Is that what you're saying?
How would you market besides the storytelling and besides promotional, like coupons or giveaways or something like that? How else would you use Snapchat as a small business owner?
So storytelling is probably the biggest method right now. And realistically, that should be one of your methods throughout your marketing. Another method that seems to work is informational. So I give you information. I give you updates on, maybe I just do I think it's 10 seconds. I just do a 10-second snap that says, hey, Instagram is introducing an algorithm today. So you provide information, kind of like when you blog, you provide information free to the public, and in doing so, you're providing value. Really, you're providing value. I am of a firm belief that you also share some of your personal life as a business owner, all the way up to Fortune 500 C-level executives. I believe that they should be doing this. I know 61% of them are still not doing this, but they should. And I think it gives your business a face.
You know, we've had this question with members pretty often, Scott, and how much do you share of yourself? And I'll give you an example. So I had a consultant who teaches business owners how to do things. I don't kind of want to give away this person's career, but because the story I'm about to tell is probably not very flattering. But so on Facebook, in social media, she shares about a rotten marriage. She shares about customers who took advantage of her. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know that's, I know that you want to share yourself, but where's the line?
Yeah, I would definitely draw the line there. If you're sharing negative aspects, now nobody's life is perfect, and I think we're all aware of that. But if you're constantly sharing negative aspects of your life, then you're going to be viewed in that light. People are not going to want to do business with you because you are always a negative person. We all have marital problems, some more than others, but we all have marital problems. We all have the occasional disagreement with our spouses, whatever it may be. I don't share that. That to me is that's one of the lines I draw.
Right.
My wife didn't really want me to share pictures of the baby for a couple of years, so we didn't really do it that much. I do now more. There are certain lines you draw. But I think when it's constant negativity, you're not going to help your business grow by doing that.
So one thing that I do, because, it's interesting because Facebook is one of those places that the business and personal boundaries they overlap a little bit. Mm-hmm. And, I think most people know that I've been through, from a parent perspective, it's been a couple tough years, right? I lost my dad, and both my parents had terminal cancer. But so right. There's this piece where I'll post, the recovery side of the event that we just got through and how happy I am. And I won't post the things before. And I've gotten criticism about, why didn't you post that your mother was on ICU and blah, blah, blah. And my philosophy is everyone that really needed to know knew. Yeah. Right. And so if I share the happy side, people know, yeah, normal, just like everybody else. You have stuff that you go through and it humanizes you. But there's that piece of, it's interesting because nobody's ever going to be satisfied, right? Nobody's ever going to be, oh, Colleen, you're sharing exactly the right amount of information today. I wish that was, we're in the public eye a little bit. People don't do that. But where's the boundary from a marketing perspective? What's too much and what's not? So when you and your wife have a fight, do you celebrate, make up dinner? Was it something else?
I think you bit your tongue a little bit there. I never post about fights or make up anything. That's a personal choice. I don't believe you should share negative stuff. I did not share when my mother died or my grandmother died. On social media, I did share her birthday this year, and I think that was the first time I did that since she died. But so I don't really share those things, and part of it is because I don't really like talking about those things. So that might be a personal choice. But I do believe if you're constantly posting negativity, this negative thing happens, that negative thing happens, then the people are going to view you in that light. I do believe that. I think the energy you give off is the energy you're going to receive.
It's exhausting, right? I mean, it's just, You hold your breath before you go and talk to that person sometimes.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. It's a turnoff, right?
Well, from a
that's
business perspective, I think business owners have to find balance. I think you have to. I think if there's a challenge or a tragedy, I think you have to show how working together or how you overcame it. I think there's a great story there that people are going to look at. I mean, we all have, that's what connects us in marketing, right? Your story is what connects you to your client. So we want your clients or potential future clients, they want to hear a little bit about, oh, well, if he could overcome it, so can I, right? Tony Robbins, the whole story of selling t-shirts on the boardwalk of Venice Beach while he was living in his Volkswagen Bug or whatever it is, right? That endears us to him because it says to us, hey, I can do that. If he can do that, if he can go from here to there, well, I can too. It's not like Trump who said, hey, I was gifted a couple $1 million and I turned it into $1 billion. We're not as empathetic with that conversation, or we don't connect as well.
And I agree with that. I think that if you share a negative story with a positive outcome, that's a little different. If you're just sharing because you want people's sympathy, you're really not going to get it on social media, because first of all, not everybody's going to see it. The people you want to see it probably won't even see it. And secondly, most people are not going to be sympathetic because most people have been through what you've been through.
Right.
But I'll give you an example. We both know Zeph. Zeph shared her cancer story last year as she was going through it, and now she's cancer free. That's a negative story with a positive outcome. She didn't do it for the sympathy vote. She did it because she wanted people to know the story,
right,
of how you can overcome it. And I think that's if the story's told in that manner, then I think that's a good story.
Yeah, it's interesting because when my mom and dad were diagnosed a week apart with terminal cancer, and I thought there was nobody I could relate to at that moment. And I said, oh my gosh, I need to write. And writing and keeping this journal became very, very reparative for me and self-serving, I guess. And in my mind, as I was doing it, it was a way for me to kind of empty out my emotions before I started my day. But it was really interesting because the whole time we were going through this as a family, we just were seeking that support from other people who have been through it as well. And so I think there's a real need in cases. I don't know. I think that's a great example of when there's a time to share, right? So let's talk about, all right, anything else for Snapchat? I have 8 easy ways to build Snapchat. I'm totally stealing.
So yeah, Snapchat is a little more difficult than most platforms to build an audience. But again, it really comes down to your what you're sharing. Is it quality or is it crap? If it's crap, then people don't care. People really don't care. And we have such busy lives. That's why things like Snapchat exist, because we have such busy lives. I can't keep up with everybody and what they're doing. I can get a quick couple of minute view on somebody else's day.
Right. I am surprised by business owners there's some tools like Snapchat, or I don't think Twitter is one of those tools. I think Twitter is evolving and trying to figure out who they are as a social media
they're going through some tough times right now, for sure.
But I think there's these pieces, like if you're a restaurant, you better connect to Facebook, because Facebook, you need, or Snapchat or Instagram or whatever, you need to remind people that you're there, and you need to capitalize on that impulse visit or get people thinking about that big juicy steak you serve, right? I mean, those are things that you want to talk about. Promotions. There's a great place to be, but I'm amazed business owners, they don't necessarily leverage their website, their cards, their email effectively enough to highlight these. Like if you have Pinterest and Brian just jumped on, my favorite designer, Brian Short. If you have Pinterest now, if you're a designer, becomes a really important tool where you can now have daily dialogues with people who are interested in buying something or interested in ideas. I think you have to make sure that you're using your social, whether it's Snapchat that you want to get followers on or any other platform, you have to make sure that you're using the platforms that you have, like either email signature lines or websites, to really promote what you're building on those channels.
Okay, so I have a Business Insider from, this is about a year and a half ago. So this has probably changed since then. I would imagine they've overtaken Twitter. But so it's got Facebook is obviously number one, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat.
Wow.
So, and at that point they were right behind Twitter. So I would imagine it's overtaken Twitter. I don't know about Instagram yet. With that being said, you know, it's not for none of the platforms are for everybody. But you're right. If I'm a restaurant, if I'm any business that has a visual product, then I need to be on those visual platforms such as Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat to some degree.
Right. Agree. But
Yeah.
I think you need to make it easier for people to be on there and easier for people to find you and know why they should be on there.
Yeah, it's difficult to find if you don't know their username or they haven't shared their Snap code with you, then you will find it hard to find people on Snapchat.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay, let's before we move on to this membership piece, let's keep talking about how to promote and build your Snapchat and Instagram followers. So make sure that it's visible on all your social other platforms.
Right.
That it's on your emails. We've got that. Should they have feeds, those feeds directly on, and how many feeds can you have on a website? But should you have those feeds on your website?
No, I don't know. I don't even know if that's possible to do that. If somebody's posting it, I would imagine you can.
Well, we have our Twitter feed and we have our Facebook feed.
So right now I have this on my website. I have the Snap code on the website. Hey, Roxanne, I didn't know you joined. I have this, and Brian, I have the Snap code on my website, but that's it. So you can take a picture of that and that'll add me to your Snapchat if you have Snapchat. Interesting. Anytime, the social media platform is making noise, what does Facebook do? They try to emulate it, right? So I noticed the other day, Facebook now has filters for their pictures, which is a big part of Snapchat, the filters.
And what does the filter do?
It overlays your image with information like you could put where you are, the location, or the temperature, the time. You can speed it up, slow it down. You can, if one of the advertisers has something, like I saw some on St. Patrick's Day, I think it was Bailey's or someone had an ad that day that you can put over your picture. It's things like that.
Right.
Facebook is doing that now. I noticed that the other day. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I posted some pictures.
That is very cool. So, hey, anybody have any questions for Scott about how to build your social media following, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever it is, Facebook? I want to talk a little bit about membership next, but I thought, let's make sure that we have answer some questions here for anybody that has them first. All right. So one of the questions that I've been getting is, we are a membership site. Small Business USA is a membership program. It's consulting and you pay on a monthly basis and you get, marketing program and consulting and peer advisory boards. And it's a membership program in essence. But I also have Generating Winners, which will be launching a membership program for, that's for parents of teens. And then we also have, Scott and I are working on this project together, which is blowing my mind how exciting this is Networking Golf, which will launch any day. And you missed the most amazing call ever, Scott. It's like real and it's up and it's such an unbelievable morning. I can't even, Foursome Finder is up. It's just so cool. You missed a good call.
Now you got me. Now I'm going to have to go check that out.
But all of these are membership communities and environments. So for me, it's been really important because what I realize is that, being kind of at the helm of a lot of these membership organizations, there's some really important things that are really successful. And there's other pieces that Scott does so naturally for us that makes him a little better suited to answer that question. So I don't know, Scott, if you want to kind of start off talking about membership communities online, and if maybe we should talk about if it's right for somebody's business and how do you get those started?
You might be better at this point, at this topic at this point in the game. But so probably the most common membership site on the internet is a dating site, and I venture that more than half of the people on here right now have been at one point or another on a dating site. I know Colleen has an account on Match.com. That's it. That's an inside joke. She doesn't really have an account.
Well, I did. That's how I met my husband.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how we met. It was kind of a total fluke. I was 24 hours of joining, and I don't know, divine intervention, but people do exist out there.
So, they're out there, and there's I don't know, probably hundreds, maybe thousands of dating sites at this point. But there's other membership sites, and if you Google right now how to make money with a membership site, they're just like everything. I think there's one is like a gourmet tea delivery site. You pay a monthly fee and they deliver a different flavor tea to you every month, something like that. There's I don't know. There's just tons of them out there. I'm just trying to think of some of the ones
Stitches. Did you see that one? You give your dimension, ladies. You give your dimensions, and they send you clothes every week. It's my kind of.
There's one for socks. I love socks. I'm a sock guy. There's that. What was the one you mentioned to me? I said Blue Apron.
Blue Apron, HelloFresh, all those.
Right.
I've joined all of those, and I'm going to write a blog about those because I think it's a great. So if anybody knows, there's Blue Apron, HelloFresh, Plated, Marley Spoon. The other one is Cook something, but they all do exactly the same thing for exactly the same amount of money. They send you your groceries and recipes and everything. But so I joined them all because I think there's this fascinating marketing story there and how you differentiate yourself when you almost do exactly the same thing. And how do you differentiate yourself in a bigger environment? So I'm putting that blog together because I think it's really fascinating how, as a membership community, differentiation is really, there's two things. It's differentiation. It's that customer loyalty and experience that you're going to deliver. Because I think what's different about a membership environment, right? And you correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're in a membership environment, it's one thing that, it's a funnel still, right? You get, a lot of free trials, you introduce people, you get to know them and down and down and down till you get to your super user. But that, it's so important. Like, it's one thing to get them in, but I think what a lot of membership groups forget is it's that keeping them and the relationship is really the most important thing that you do every day. So you can get them to join, but the minute their credit card expires or the minute, with Small Business USA, my first year, I was like, when a credit card expired, I almost had a meltdown. And it was a good gut check for me because I'd see this, this payment was skipped thing. And I'm like, oh my God, something happened. And then you just like wait with bated breath to see if they updated the account, because that is the true test of how well you're delivering. Right. And it's a point of pivoting. So, we have a lot of members who are out there trying to sell something for $20 a month or $35 a month, but it's getting them on is one piece of the marketing strategy, and keeping them is the most important piece of that strategy. Right. So let's talk about, I want to talk about getting them on and how do you build that top of the funnel, because I think that's what you're really good at, Scott, is you're really good at that piece where we get people to see who you are and recognize that you're out there. And one piece that has been very fascinating for me in this whole adventure with membership has been that you have to know where you're going first. Like when we think about networking golf, like, what do you think about the experience? That's all we've been talking about is the end user experience. We're starting with the end in mind. So
I think that was in a book somewhere.
What?
I think that was in a book, starting with the end in mind. Isn't that a book or a quote or something?
I think it's so important. And when you kind of talk about a membership environment too. Like, how many people have we seen trying to sell software and programs that are $20 or $30 a month that it's just really hard to sustain because the experience isn't in mind. AARP is one of the biggest membership programs out there. Right?
Yeah, for some reason they send my wife stuff all the time, and she's only 36 years old.
Kind of interesting. You look at their strategy, right? They start with everyone's strategy.
Yeah, well, I never gotten anything. I guess they don't like me. So, but if you think about it, Microsoft used to sell Microsoft Office. I'm not sure. They may still do it, but they used to sell Microsoft Office in a bundle. You buy it, just like $300. You install Word and Excel and PowerPoint and all those other programs they have. Now they sell it as a membership service. Not even that expensive. I believe it's like $6 or $7 a month. But you're still paying the same amount because when do they come out a new one? Every 2 to 3 years. You're still spending $300 for this package, but now instead of paying a one-time $300 fee, you're paying $6, $7, $8 a month for it, depending on what you want. So that model, while it seems to be exploding right now, it's not really new. It's just that I think people see $6 or $7 a month as more affordable than $300 at one time.
That too, and I think there's some consistency in saying, okay, do you have peaks and valleys in your business? And if you do, how do you create a business as an entrepreneur that has more of a flat line, that is just continuously growing versus has that up and down peak to it? I mean, this is really disruptive to family and business owners and whomever, right? But if you can say, okay, well, every month I'm going to earn $2,000 and then I'll build my business, and then every month going forward, I'm going to earn $3,000 and $4,000, whatever. It's a safer, more comfortable model to be working in. It creates a lot less stress, right?
Yeah.
So
some of us thrive on stress, though.
What was that? Some of us thrive on stress. Do you thrive on stress?
Sometimes, depends on what it is.
Peter, we can't see your face, so we don't know if we're probably talking all over you. I apologize, but do you thrive on stress?
I think I'm more focused under stress. Yeah. Not that I go around trying to create that for myself all the time, but no, I tend to focus better when I'm under stress.
Dr. Phil did this. He wrote this post a couple of years ago. I'll never forget. And he said, what I've noticed is most business owners have a little level of ADD. I definitely do. And the senior leaders in major corporations also have that ADD kind of quality. It's really hard to stay focused, and it's got to be fast and moving and got to grab their attention. And he wrote this post and said, well, what would happen in your life if you didn't, if you weren't a procrastinator? That by fixing that one quality that you hate about yourself, you may take all the wins associated with that. So if you're a procrastinator, but you operate well under pressure, if you stop procrastinating, you never had that pressure, you probably wouldn't perform as well. It was kind of interesting. Like, we're all given these gifts and this is how we operate. So now I've stopped procrastinating, stopped trying to fix my procrastination issues. I don't enjoy stress though. I think I do well under it, but I don't enjoy it. So Scott, if let's say you were going to, I don't know, you just got a new client and they're going to sell backyard twigs. I don't know. What is the first thing that you would do? Every month they're going to send you backyard twigs. So whatever it is, widgets. I wouldn't want to say widgets, but I figured you'd give me a hard time about it. So what's the first approach you would take?
Well, we need to find out who's going to buy it. Mm-hmm. That's the first approach. Find out who the client is. Find out who the what's the word I'm looking for? I call it ideal client. A lot of people call it something else, but a buyer persona. So find out what the buyer persona is. What's the demographic? Where are they? Where do they like to socialize on the internet? what are their buying habits, basic demographics.
For our members, we really talk about the emotional and physical profile of your customer, because that emotional profile becomes really important in marketing, right? That's what's going to pull on their heartstrings.
Well, so they do say that you should market to people's emotions. People buy an emotion. People don't buy out of need. In most cases, there's a few examples where they do. Obviously, we all have to eat, but we're in a grocery store and you're in the checkout aisle. If you see a Reese's peanut butter cup, are you buying that because you need it? Or are you buying it because, hey, I love peanut butter, right? So it's an emotion at that point. Nobody needs a Reese's peanut butter cup except for me. And that was a joke. People laugh at jokes.
You got me lost because Skippy has that happy commercial for peanut butter. And my daughter all of a sudden switched to Skippy. That's her major food group is peanut butter. She goes, "Mommy, I have to get Skippy now." I'm like, "Why do I have to get Skippy?" She goes, "Because
So
Skippy makes you happy." I'm like,
is Skippy the green label? It's the green label that I buy. I don't know the name. I just know the label.
Yeah, well, no, but the whole thing is they did these commercials and they drew a smile on it and it's supposed to make you happy or something. But it's a great example, right? At this very ethereal level. She saw that smile. I'm like, "Are you not happy?" She goes, "No, I'm really happy, but everybody wants to be happier." I'm like, this peanut butter makes you happier than Jif. All right, who knew?
Yeah, then it's Skippy that I like. I don't like Jif. Okay, so anyway.
Are you happy because of your peanut butter?
I now, instead of eating peanut butter, I have peanut butter flavored protein bars. What happens when you get older? See? So I think, you have to identify who you're going to sell to first, because if you don't know who you're selling to, you're just shooting darts in the dark and you're never going to get anywhere.
Jump on, Roxanne, if you want. I'd love to hear what you mean by commercialize. Go ahead, Scott.
So that's the first piece. Then once you figure out where they are, the next step is how are you going to reach them? Because if you just don't, and I tell people all the time, you cannot hardcore sell on social media. You will turn everybody off instantly. So you have to have
button. Where are those props button? That's a great. Say it again to everybody.
You cannot hardcore sell on social media. The days of the pushy salesmen are dead. She's eating lunch. Probably Reese's peanut butter cups.
Peanut butter, I hope, Roxanne.
Yeah, the days of pushy salesmen are dead. I know there's some of them still out there. I still see it, not as often as I used to, but I still see it, and it just doesn't work. You have to offer value. If you're not giving something of value, people are not going to work with you. When I say value, you give them something for nothing, basically. You write a blog post and you talk about the Instagram algorithm and how you can succeed within the algorithm. You write a blog post and talk about your Reese's peanut butter cups that you're going to have for dessert that came from the Easter Bunny. But whatever it is related to your business, it could be anything related to your business. And this is something that some businesses have a hard time with. So a financial advisor, we all know people in the financial industry have all these restrictions, and they have this group that oversees them and says you can't say this, you can't say that. So I say, well, you don't have to tell people. You don't have to offer financial advice. You can offer advice related to financial. And then you're still giving value, and it's still related to what you do, and you're still targeting the people that you want to do business with, that you've identified as your client. It's really, there's always something you can write about.
Great. This is your opportunity to build trust and show people that you're an expert.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what social media is about now.
People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And then the content doesn't have to be just written, by the way. So a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, blog, I can't do it once a week. Forget it." You could do video. You could do this right here on Blab. You can do audio. So this Blab, I know for a fact, because I'm the one that uploads it, this Blab gets converted to audio and sent to iTunes and Google Play and Stitcher and a few other places. So those are all avenues of sharing your content in different digestible ways. I know for me, I don't like to read, so I'd prefer an audiobook. I'd prefer a video. So just think about that before you develop the content. It doesn't have to be just written.
Mm-hmm. So true. So you get out there and get people interested. And so there's, when we talk about memberships, there's the term freemium, right?
Mm-hmm.
And LinkedIn does that, right? That's a freemium membership. So you start free and then you show them that there's other benefits to going to a premium membership and paying more. So you first help them when they want their monthly or weekly backyard twig delivery. You first get out there, get them to see who you are, show that you're an expert, you have something of value. And then the second thing is, I'm like so distracted by these live chats over here. I'm like the worst ADD girl ever. The shining light.
No, you have to get Brian in one of these open seats one day.
I know, Brian. Why don't you just jump in? There's an open seat there. And then I think you have to. So, what do you think about freemium? Is it for everyone? Give them something free and then upsell them.
I think it works. I think you have to be careful that you're not giving away too much. And I'm probably one of those people that gives away too much. But I think it works if it's done right. And it's done right with LinkedIn. Although I'm and I think you're not either. I'm not a fan of their new paid services. I think they've gone too high on their paid services. But it works, and they're probably Brian's a funny guy. I'm trying to think. Danny Johnson, who I've talked about before, she does it, but they've recently changed their pricing scheme as well. So you have to be careful that A, you're not giving away too much, and B, you're not pricing yourself out of the market, I think.
Yeah, I think price is the most important thing that you can do with a premium. Like when you have a premium membership, the price is something that is so critical to your success. You don't want to outprice yourself. You don't want to underprice yourself. And, that's one of those things that you really have to balance. I love your example of LinkedIn because I had a business membership for LinkedIn. And most of my traffic on LinkedIn is inbound. So I write a lot of content, I throw it out there, and I get a lot of connections from those inbound or referrals. And so for me, I could not justify why I would want to spend $400 a year for LinkedIn Premium. They could not sell me on the idea that I needed that. Now, if I was a salesman and I wanted the access to go and reach out to all these people, oh, look at you, Brian, you're jumping on. Then maybe that would be different. But I think it's a good point. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hi.
Long time no see, Brian.
Yeah, I know. I really wasn't prepared for this. So, I've got a sweatshirt on. I'm not really, dressed for the occasion.
Oh, you look fabulous.
Hoodies are cool.
Can we see some fancy drapes in the background?
I'd have to go upstairs. I'm downstairs in my basement workroom, which, is like, that's not as pretty as my wife's workroom upstairs. But actually, you know what? I'll go upstairs, actually.
So Brian owns the Sewing Loft of Avon, and he and his wife create custom draperies and upholstery and just amazing things, slip covers and pillows. And now we're going through like the hallway. It's getting dark. It's like, what will we see next? Rachel's going to kill you.
She is going to kill me. But you know what? She loves you, Colleen. So, I'll...
Nice knowing you, Brian.
All right, Scott, what were you saying?
So he's not going to post the fight on Facebook later, right?
All right. So this is Rachel's studio and workroom. A lot prettier than mine. Here,
very well organized.
That is awesome.
Wow, that's very well organized.
That's kind of cool. They do some amazing work. Oh, we're talking about premium. Roxanne said, I don't do premium. I write and post. After writing, I haven't asked anyone to connect. They asked me. I guess they like what I write. Yeah, I feel the same way, Roxanne. I do the same thing. And I started looking. I don't use those in-mails. So if I wasn't using the in-mail, I couldn't justify why I should pay more than a premium. I think there's some value in, I think there's some importance rather in figuring out what is the difference between the free membership and what you're going to offer. Oh, you just wanted to show off those drapes.
I want to show off my wife's wonderful work.
Nice.
It's awesome.
So you also have to comment. That's a great point. And that's a great point too, is any time that you have a membership economy, it has to be engaging. Whether it's LinkedIn, whether you're creating your own, there has to be a way for your members to engage, because if they can't engage, there's no ownership or belonging. And that's why we join these groups, right? That's why we belong. We join a membership group and pay these membership, is that we want that engagement. We want to be part of something that's special. It's like the cost of admission. You go to Weight Watchers, right? There's another great example of a membership, albeit a membership group that has a higher attrition rate than others, but that's planned into it, right? But you look at their membership, the reason that Weight Watchers works so well as a membership economy is that they're really cognizant of the interaction and the relationships that are created. Brian, what kind of membership economy are you going to create? I know the wheels are turning.
The Sewing Loft of Avon, brand experience membership. Actually, it's funny. As I posted, I was writing a script for our first introductory video that when people come to our website and ask for our services, I want this to be the first thing that goes out to them, not just so that they can, not just to introduce ourselves, but in order to try to start the experience of getting custom window treatments or a slipcover. I mean, they're decorating their home. It should be a fun experience. And I'm trying to create a video that kind of starts that joy, that fun that they should experience whenever they're doing anything with their home. So, I'm trying to keep it short, which is not easy for me. And, just create a personal touch that will get them excited about looking at fabrics and designs and customizing their home. So that's what we're hoping will be the first thing that people get when they come to our website.
It goes again. It's funny because we kind of come full circle in this conversation. It's about that emotional connection that really sells what you're doing. Peter, I'm looking at your black square on the screen here, and all I can think of is you have the perfect business to create a membership environment from.
I was thinking the same thing. I'd like to replicate what we did a week or so ago. And whether it's, a personal, call-in service or a group of people that would call in and we could have a session on, not just what I think, but what other people have learned and help people out. I think it'd be a great thing. I think the challenge for me is the balance, right? How much time can I spend doing that, that business development, we'll call it. Which is basically, I'll say just giving away help, which I'm happy doing. But then I have to spend a certain amount of time actually, creating actual revenue too. So trying to find the balance there, I think, is the key.
Well, I was thinking more of like a monthly safety audit. You work with all these different clients, but most of your clients call because they're already in trouble. To keep them ahead of the opportunity. We can talk about that after, Peter, but my brain is sometimes.
Yeah, no, I'm glad your brain's working on it.
All right. Hey, let's, I want to just start wrapping up, but Scott, what do you think is the most important thing that somebody can do when it comes to marketing besides hire you? Because,
Well, that's
awesome.
That's right. I mean, really, the probably the single most important piece is you have to know your business and you have to know who your client is. If you don't know that, then you're like I said before, you're just shooting darts in the dark. Say that 5 times fast. That's really probably the most important piece. You can't just jump on Facebook and assume that I'm going to grow my business because I'm on Facebook now, because it's not how it works. You have to be in it for the long haul. You have to know who you're looking for, and you have to know what your business does.
I agree.
I think I just gave some Colleen's advice away.
I always feel like I'm always saying that same thing. The business owners, it's funny, there's this perception that business owners undermarket, but I think that first they overmarket because they don't dissect and identify who their core customer is. And then once you find that out, you can save so much time. But when you're in 100 different places, you're not doing anything really well. It's about knowing who your market is, who you're talking to, and then singularly focusing. And one thing that I really am holding on to this week and maybe this month, we'll see where it evolves as my brain kind of goes in crazy places, but test marketing, being more deliberate with test marketing, I think is really important, and not spending money on marketing until you know it works. So how are you making sure, even if one person responds, but 7 people saw it, that's a test market. But I think that we just don't do enough of that. And you will be talked into this great advertisement and great, I'm going to give you a 1/4-page ad in this. And we just work to fill that page because we got this great deal on marketing instead of testing what we're sending out before we actually send it to the printers, type of thing.
Hey, Colleen?
Yeah.
Could you, that's a very interesting point, because I think that's what, we, and I'm sure other small business people struggle with is, how to test something before you spend money on it. Could you give some examples of ways that, to test market something, or like an ad or whatever you're doing that can, let you know if you're spending the money wisely?
You know what? I somehow missed something in the middle of that. Is there a tool? Is that what you're asking?
You mentioned that, you should test market before spending money. And I was just wondering if you can give some examples of how to do that, or what type of test marketing you can do.
Yeah, first, I think that there's some tools that you already have available to you that are free. Like you can post on Facebook, you can post on Twitter, and just watch the engagement. Look at how many people see it and how many people respond to it. I think that's a really good indicator. I know Scott probably has some better examples than I do of this. I think, it's funny because somebody just, I got involved in this really big group email that said, "What do you think about my new logo?" And it wasn't somebody that I know very well. And my first reaction was like, I didn't know that his business did this. And it was great that he did that because, and we know that. We know this is why we need peer advisory boards, because a lot of people aren't honest enough to go back and say to a business owner, this isn't what you do. Like, what are you saying here? This is, but I think that when you test market that way, you have to ask specific questions. What do you think this sells? What do you think this is telling you? How did you react to this when you first saw it? Because I think you have to guide your test a little, because, if you went up to Scott, and you guys know each other a little bit, right? You walked up to Scott and you said, "Hey, what do you think about this curtain behind me?" The first thing he's going to do, it may not be his style at all, but he likes you. He wants to keep building a relationship with you. And he's going to say, "Brian, that is the nicest curtain I ever saw." Right? I mean, that's one of those things is you want to build a relationship. You don't want to be mean. Our parents taught us, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Right? So I think you have to be very cautious to look at really, like, if you're going to test market in an email form with people who know you or somewhat know you, you have to be very careful to ask the right questions. I think a truer test is sending it out into the universe and watching how many people see it versus how many people respond to it. Scott, what am I missing?
It's probably not always possible to test for free. Sometimes you test for minimal cost to see if it'll work. So, for example, with some ad clients, I'll test with smaller ad budget first.
Good point.
To see if it's working. And, I always tell my clients, we're not going to dump more money into it if it's not working, because that doesn't make any sense, right? So we test with a small budget if that's what they desire. Some businesses come in and say, Here's $1 million. I wish they would come to me, but they haven't yet. But here's $1 million. Go spend it. But we test it, and we test it with a small budget. And if the small budget works, then we know we put more money into it.
Great point.
I think most businesses can afford, a couple $100 or whatever it might be to test something.
Yeah. Focus groups.
Right. You could do focus groups. There's, the blind email probably isn't the best way because a lot of people aren't going to open it. But, I could post something to a Facebook page and say, what do you think of this new logo? Or what do you think of this ad copy? Or, I can even post ad copy, 2 different ad copies to Facebook just to see which one gets more reaction. I can do that. There's ways to do it. Sometimes you might spend a little bit, but there are ways to do it for sure, to test it.
Yeah, for sure.
And there are tools out there too. There are some tools that'll test it. Artificial intelligence, I guess you could say. I don't know how reliable it is because, again, if it's emotion you're after, and they always suggest you put some emotion in your ads, the artificial intelligence isn't going to be able to test that.
I love, there's some headline analyzers that I love. And even in our marketing program that you have, Brian, because you remember, well, all of you guys have, in the marketing program, there's some sections on power words that you want to use. And there's some real tools that'll kind of show, here's what's tested, here's what's out there and what's working already. So, leverage some of that. Like somebody's already done the work for you, I guess. So make sure that you leverage some of that when you're writing. And that's one of those things that even though I have this marketing program, it's brilliant and it's at my fingertips. Sometimes it's just taking that extra step to go and do that research so we know what has already been tested and true. You can also see, I think a great way to do this as well is go look at your competition. And I do this often. I'm like, okay, I think every quarter I need to go and look at who is at the cutting edge and the biggest peer advisory board company out there. And what are they doing because they have a lot more money than me. So what are they doing to market their business more effectively? So what am I missing? And I think it's a great, gut check to say, for you guys, if it's curtains, right? Go look at other curtain distributors, go look at other designers, interior designers, go check out their website. And what are the messages in those major ones? Like I think about Ethan Allen, right? What are the messages that they're sending? They have people that have paid, $1 million to go and do this, right? To go figure out what clients are doing, leverage their research to benefit yourself and your growth and your marketing. So you don't want to copy it. I remember the first person who copied my slogan. I was so mad. I just wanted to go after and duke it out with them, right? It was somebody I knew. And I was like, is flattery the sincerest form of flattery? Is imitation the sincerest form of flattery? Or is this person just a dang thief?
So I just put a link in the chat there, BuzzSumo. I think, I don't know if Colin, you've heard of it yet, but it's a really awesome tool that'll help you analyze not only your content, as we're speaking of competition, but your competition's content. Now, again, like Colleen said, you don't want to go and just take somebody's content off of their website. At the same time, I can see what is working for my competition as far as marketing and advertising goes and use some of that information.
If you're not doing that, you're making a huge mistake. If you are not checking your competition once a month or minimally quarterly, you're making a huge mistake in your business, because the one thing that we do know about business is it always changes. Like even this conversation today earlier about Snapchat and Instagram, how much does that change? And Scott said to me yesterday, he said, well, Instagram is big until all the parents start getting on Instagram, and then Instagram will lose its flavor, right? And something else will be created. You have to stay on top of that. And the best way to do that is, and you also have to make sure that you stay differentiated as a business owner. All right, gentlemen, I think it's time to wrap this up. Are there any questions for for Brian Short, Peter, or Scott? I know so many Brians. Brian, I always have to say your last name. Have you ever noticed that? I know so many Scotts too.
You're married to one, not this one, but you are married to one.
All right. I love the participation. Thank you guys so much today for commenting. Brian and Peter, thanks for joining us. And Scott, thank you for everything you do. And I cannot wait to get off the phone and off this blab, Scott, so I can show you networking golf. Because we need to
I went to it.
Oh my God, it is so close to happening. And anybody who doesn't know what networking golf, it's we created it with Small Business USA and Scott Gumbar. We kind of joined forces and said, hey, we have this real problem. We have members outside of Connecticut that we need to connect. And we just know that golf is such a great way to do it. We've created golf events in the past, and we're like, this is just, it makes so much sense. But it is basically a LinkedIn for golfers. You don't have to know everybody in your circle. We're going to introduce you to golfers who just want to golf for business, and we're negotiating great prices, and there's foursome finders. And oh my God, Scott, it's so close to coming to fruition, but it is really an easy to use platform where you can just push a button and meet someone who wants to golf, and their industry, their profile is up there. It is just beautiful and awesome, and I am so excited. So look for that. We're pretty excited about where that's going. Can you tell? I'm all pumped up. This is like the first time after a developer meeting. I think I've been like completely out of my mind, pumped up.
Sure, you have the best one when I'm not available. That's cool.
Sorry. It's probably because I didn't know any better, right?
Hey, Brian, I met the new owner of BNI today.
Oh, really?
BNI Connecticut, I should say.
Who is that?
What is his name?
Is it Rick?
I already forgot his name. I think it is Rick. Was it Rick? Anyway, yeah, I met him. Nice guy.
Hey, let's just wrap up. Tell everybody how to get a hold of you and who you are again one last time, and then I'll stop the recording. And you guys can chat as long as you want. But I want to talk about networking golf, so just...
I want to use the bathroom. So I don't know who wants to go first. I'll go first. Scott Gumbar. You can find me at scottgumbar.com. As you see right there in the bottom of my window. You can email me at scott@scottgumbar.com, and you can also call 203-806-0736. You can go to my website and get a free website analysis, and it'll tell you what you're doing well and what you need, what areas you have opportunity. Do it now.
I'm going to run and do it right now.
All right. Peter, you want to go next?
Yeah, Pete Suska, OPX Safety at cox.net. And then you can also reach me at 860-713-8050. If you have any safety questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Pete. Brian Short.
You're welcome.
All right, Brian.
He's not short, by the way.
Yeah, it should be my last name.
Brian Short, the Sewing Loft of Avon. You can check out our website at sewingloftofavon.com, and you can reach us at 860-404-2958, and we can make your house beautiful. Awesome. And if you need someone that makes your foursome at golf look really good, that's me. That is my job.
That would be both of us.
To make everyone else look better.
Oh, so cool.
I think that's a unique selling point there. I think we have something here, Brian. We have our next venture.
So you choose your handicap. So it could be beginner, advanced beginner. So we're going to have clinics for beginners that you can network and golf. It's just so cool. There's so much. I can't even go to the website, networkinggolf.com, networkandgolf.com, all one word. I'm Colleen Ferrari. Thank you for joining us. I'm the owner of Small Business USA. You can visit us at smallbusinessus without the A.com. And so fun, Roseanne. We're totally into that. That's exactly some of the stuff that we'll be doing with Networking Golf. We'll be doing events that you can be invited at, networking events, fundraisers. Mostly it's I can find somebody's profile like Brian and Scott and invite them in a click of a button to golf. Or every week you'll get invitations to golf in foursomes that the computer will actually create for you and send to your mailbox. It's super easy, super super cool. And what a great way especially in New England here, we're moving into summer. But so thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And sorry to talk so much. Nobody's surprised though, right?